What's up, folks? Welcome to Nino's Corner.tv, and I'm here to bring you Jonathan Otto with Red Life. It's a red light paneling system. I'm addicted. Like this stuff, and I know like a lot of people are thinking, yeah, right. This stuff it's working. I'm feeling it. Jonathan, thank you for joining me. This is like to me the newest stuff out, the cutting edge of health. Uh, it works at a cellular level, man. I mean, I feel it. It makes sense to me, man. Like this stuff has changed my life. Thanks for joining me.
Welcome, Nino. Awesome to be with you, man. Love your work. Love what you're doing out there to make a difference. And I think that you continue to hit the nail on the head. And it's awesome when these two worlds come together. Like you're a truther, and then you've got to be healthy, and you've got to understand the systems of what's going on in the world. And then if you understand what's going on in the body, you see how it all comes together and how you can be the best you can be, which
Well,
is
everything's working against us. You got to have things that work for you. I mean, there's enough things working against us in our food, in the air, everywhere we go. We're surrounded by phone towers and all kinds of technologies that cannot be good on the body, man. So the way I see it, I at least need to feed myself something good. And this light technology is actually uh, like just breaking through everywhere. I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing it at gyms now, clinics. It's just popping up everywhere. Red light therapy, and we've been doing this now for I think 6 months. Is it a
at
little maybe
least,
at
yeah, a
least
bit more.
right? And like I have people emailing me all the time saying, "Dude, this thing is the bomb. It's like giving me the best results. I'm feeling great." Um, there's different frequencies on these panels, folks. I mean, this stuff is just amazing, and the link is down below if you want to order them. So let's kick this off. First off, Jonathan, how is this? How does this work? How do these panels even work?
Sure. So it's red light technology is about enhancing the mitochondria in your cells. So they're not in your red blood cells, they're in your organ cells, and they account for about 25% of your cells. They're these organelles called mitochondria, they surround the nucleus, so it gives you a bit of an indication of their importance. And they're the energy powerhouses of the cell. So your cells, if they have energy, they can perform functions. If they can't, if they don't have it, they can't. So
But
which
don't
is
but people say,
everything.
well, don't you get that from food?
Not really. You can enhance and support the mitochondria, but light is the most pervasive and intensive therapy or nutrient for the cells, for the mitochondria of all things, and then they can produce the adenosine triphosphate. It's part of the reason why you see that even if people are eating super well, if they don't get enough sunlight exposure, you'll see all kinds of issues in countries that don't get that. Like I was in Mongolia, we saw children that were 13, 14. They looked like they were 6, 7 year olds. Their growth was stunted. Their legs bowed out. They had this condition called rickets, and you'll see that people are just generally experiencing this. And you've been talking a lot about the blocking of the sun, and there things that are being done in our environment are blocking some of the most important rays of the sun, and so people are seeing this real time. And so, to answer your question, uh, you want to support those two factors together. Like a plant, you can give it all the fertilizer it needs, but if you don't give it sunlight, it still won't grow. And that's the same thing with the body.
But you're actually introducing the sunlight, all the positive frequencies in your own home, doing this. I have this on my couch, so I just lay under it for like 10 minutes minimum, and I'll fall asleep under there sometimes, and I'll wake up 45 minutes later and I'm still under there and I feel great. I feel recharged. So this works for boosting ATP production. That's scientifically what it's doing.
Correct. Yes. So mitochondria produce adenosine triphosphate, ATP. That is how cells generate energy. And then these are critical functions for cellular respiration. So you don't think about your cells breathing, but they do. And yeah, it's really cool.
That's
And
crazy.
light helps them to go through these critical stages in cellular respiration, which include cytochrome C oxidase and nitric oxide. And those key processes are vital for not only survival but for you to thrive. And that's why there's nitric oxide supplements, or there's all kinds of tools that they're trying to get to signal the body, but nothing is performing as well as light.
This goes right to the source. It hits the mitochondria right at the source.
Correct.
the cellular level. So, yeah, I mean, this to me, I've noticed like a lot of improved mental clarity, energy. Um, I'm sleeping better at night. I like to do it before night. I like to do it at night before I go to bed and in the morning. I'm trying to do 2 times a day now. Hair growth, wrinkles, collagen, everything benefits, right?
Yes, absolutely. And
Fat
curious.
loss.
Yes, fat loss as well. Absolutely. Are you noticing those things
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah, man. I'm feeling tighter. I am picking up the cardio and all that, but but I have the energy to do this stuff, man. And so to me, this was what was missing in my regimen. Like when you go on a tanning bed and you lay there and you're like, oh, you feel microwaved afterwards. You're like, damn, I feel like I just sat in a microwave. This doesn't feel like that. This is like I feel relaxed. Like when you fall asleep in a tanning bed, like I feel like that, like the heat of the lamps, and I can just feel the tingling, and it feels really good. And then I fall asleep and I wake up, but I don't feel like I was microwaved. I feel recharged. And the more you use it, the more benefits I'm noticing.
Yeah. Yeah, you understand it. So I've actually never been in a tanning bed. Maybe that's because I've got darker
You're always
skin.
out in the surfing, right?
True, true. And it's crazy that even somebody like me, that's out in the sun a lot gets so much more benefit from red light. Even though I would say, look, get sunlight, that's so critical. I'm all for bringing people back to nature, back to God. But this is, one of those things where you're able to get closer to that light source, and so the irradiance is so much higher, and then so the penetration is deeper. The function of the light in the cells is more prolific. It will actually, trigger these processes at much deeper levels, and that's the reason why the studies are so good on specifically on LED, which is people get confused about that. They think that maybe LEDs aren't good. LEDs, if it's a consistent source, in this case, it's LED stands for light emitting diode. If it's consistent without flickering, then it's a constant source. Whereas, the body's going to get confused if it's flickering, and that's what people have in their homes most typically.
Yeah, I've seen
And
videos on that.
yeah,
So
exactly.
let me ask you this. So do you want to show my
Yeah.
audience the benefits of this? Because it's pretty damn impressive. I mean, besides, mental clarity and focus, it accelerates muscle recovery, supports hormone and immune function. That's a big one, immune function. Enhances mood, which I've noticed, and a lot of stuff. The stress I'm going through right now is just incomprehensible. Like people really don't understand, but I feel good every time I do this red light therapy, and it improves my motivation, everything. Like I've noticed just all around well being, and emotional well being. With everything that I'm going through today, I don't know how I get up and do the podcast and do everything I'm doing every day, but this stuff has really helped me, man. I
Oh,
feel.
well, that's beautiful because there's a lot of people that are going through a lot and they need support with that. It's really hard to knuckle it out to give a boxing pun, but this is something that if you've got any emotional stresses in your life, you definitely want to support your body. Often, the reason why people are collapsing from emotional overwhelm, stress overload, is because their body doesn't have enough to be able to support everything they're doing, and so then it'll eventually give in,
Right.
and so people suffer as a result. And so,
It's
in terms
nature.
of
It's survival of the fittest right there. If you're under a lot of stress, you just can't keep living that way. And then bam, something's got to give.
Yeah, exactly. And then your body will feel it. And so we really need to give it back what it's been missing for a long time. And so then people start introducing this and they're getting tremendous benefit. We shared some of the benefits and of how it's supporting people with their thyroid health. We shared some of the benefits of how it's working and helping with bone health,
Or the
autoimmunity.
big C, what a lot of people are
Yes.
battling right now from this. The big C, a lot of people are getting all kinds of stuff.
Exactly. And then this study is a good example of that. So, I'll skirt around this and say it all in the right way to kind of fall under the radar. Here was a study from the European Society of Medicine, and you'll see here, I won't read
Yeah,
every
yeah,
part of it because of the issues that we face on this platform.
yeah.
But here was an example. Together, acute symptomatic recovery from two 64 to 84 minute long photobiomodulation sessions occurred within 3 days for 62 out of 62 patients, and that was for
Wow.
this
62 out
condition.
of 62, man. That's 100% right there, folks.
Exactly. And this was acute symptoms. So you say, yeah, but what about like all their symptoms? Now, here's the full recovery part. Full recovery occurred within 4 sessions for all photobiomodulation patients. All but 2 cases resolved within 1 week. So these people were getting better from these conditions. And now, if you score with any of these symptoms, so this long word,
Mm.
different C word, includes the total resolution of dyspnea, ability to maintain SpO2, so oxygen, above 97% without oxygen supplementation, relief from digestive distress, elimination of brain fog, improved memory recall, restored executive function, and symptomatically managing emotional deficits. So that's what occurred for all of the 62 people, and 60 out of 62 achieved that within a single week. So how many people listening maybe don't score for having this set, diagnosis,
Yeah.
but what they do have is digestive distress. They do have low oxygen levels in their blood. They do have brain fog. They do have memory issues, and they do have executive function issues, and they have emotional issues. So imagine how that could change your life, and not just you, but everyone in your family. Because when somebody gets a device like this in their home, notice that they were using whole body, full organ, whole organ, deep tissue. This is exactly what our devices do,
The
and they were using.
larger, is that the larger uh,
It doesn't
light
say, but
systems, the bigger panels?
yeah, it would be comparable to this one here,
Okay.
which you can see here. It has the ability to cover the whole
Wow.
whole all organs, and there it is on the stand. And so you've got a full setup there. You can lie underneath this. You could put it
Yeah, that's
horizontal.
the one you sent, right? I have that. I have it hooked over the couch.
Yes, exactly. Or you could, and then you've got other tools there, like smaller devices. So you could see them there on the page. The RL Pro 200, the 300 Max was the one behind me. This is the 100, and so you've got options there. But whether it's a smaller device or a larger device, you're able to then cover the organs that it's in front of, like even like a like a pad like this, or it's we refer to it
Right.
as a belt, but this will strap around the body, and you can
Let's go
put
to
it
the next
around those
page on
central
this. I don't
organs.
want to keep that up there.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, man. We better get that off the page. Yeah. I'll share another page. But the reason why people need to like really consider, like, wherever they can play, like, get light into your body. That's the key. Because if you're struggling and people feel like, oh, this or that is with, a lot of people find that it's one of the cheapest things that people can do because it's not something that you reorder. But for people that are really strapped, like, find something like those belts they cost like nothing. In comparison, you span it out over time, you'll see how little it costs. So you get it over those critical organs, those organs that you rely on, like your liver, your kidneys, your heart, your brain, you rely on these organs. If they don't function, your life is on a ticking, is basically a ticking time bomb. But if you supply the mitochondria in those organs with what they need, then you can really have that assurance. I'm feeding my cells with what they need, and then you'll see these improvements in all these functions, like you saw in that specific study.
Yeah, I've been pretty amazed by everything. It also, your T3 and T4 levels, reduced inflammation, decreased need for certain medicines, easier weight loss, mental clarity, improved mood and sleep. I mean, these are all from I guess the tests, right, that you guys done on
Yeah.
this. I mean, you have the lab results, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are thousands of studies on, let's say with T3, T4, we've got, really amazing studies on that. I'll show this specific study on how when they use this, because I know a lot of your listeners are struggling with thyroid health,
Right.
and we've seen cases at firsthand, actually, that outperform the studies. And the reason why they outperform the studies is often they didn't have them on the therapy for long enough, but even still they were able to see a dramatic improvement. And I can show.
Now, just even a couple minutes a day of this gives you huge benefits, correct?
Yeah, there was a study out of the out of Birmingham University that showed that even 1 minute of exposure, it was on animals, but what they found was that when they gave the animals a spinal cord injury, then they applied just 1 minute a day for 5 days, and that it increased cell viability by 45%,
That's
just that
insane.
1 minute. Yeah, and then it was regenerative of the spine in this case because it was a rat crush injury model to the spinal cord, and then it was neuroprotective. And so a lot of people like their criticisms are, well, I don't have the time, and if you don't have time for 1 minute a day, then I don't think you've got time really for anything. And I think that
Yeah,
people need to change their
isn't that
priorities
the
at that
truth?
point.
It's like 1 minute a day. I mean, I enjoy it for as long as I can take it. I mean, which you can stay under there as long as you want, right? There's no time limit.
Well, yeah, generally the people are saying, look, do the 30 minutes, do the 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You just saw a study that showed 64 to 84 minutes long, which is about an hour to an hour and a half. And so that would be on the higher end. So I personally wouldn't necessarily go more than that unless I found some study that was for my condition that showed that that was the bomb. And but yeah, it's pretty cool like that where you can go in front of it a lot longer than what people typically advocate. And then as little as 3 minutes, that's where you saw the clinical study on that showed a 17% improvement in eyesight immediately, right? So imagine
That's
just
crazy.
an immediate, and that was the eyes open. But it had to be the morning. But if it was younger people, it was 47%. And I'm not talking about like this was people doing it for months. People doing it for months could expect much greater than that. I'm talking about in many cases, these studies was a single application. Let's just do this. And they do this with depression as well. Let's just put this over somebody for immediately. Let's test them an hour later, and their depression levels,
Yeah,
their
no,
markers have gone down.
I've noticed that for me, dude. I've been under unimaginable stress. So for me
With your
to be
parents,
able to
right?
just feel pretty damn good every day and still be able to do what I got to do is saying something. Um,
And that's your
is there any
parents.
side effects of this? I mean, is there known side effects? I mean, have you guys, can you report side effects? Like, I'm sure my audience wants to know, like, okay, so there has to be some, nothing that can be this good, right? If it's too good to be true, it usually is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like for me, like you think about, I'm an investigative journalist. With a specialty in the medical arena, I work with hundreds of medical doctors and, bring together like the world's leading experts. And we have a lot on the line when it comes to making sure that safety is number one. And if you do harm, then you've really failed,
Right.
horribly. So to do no harm is the first requirement of anyone seeking to make the world better. So the studies on side effects are funny because they balance off any other side effects that you would get from other treatments. So red light would be the thing that you would do to mitigate side effects for starters, and then you'd look at contraindications. So where would be the contraindications? Like what conditions would you have that would mean that you couldn't do it? And so because it's not a heat therapy, even though there's a bit of heat, but it's not like a far infrared sauna where you are pushing your temperature up for your body. So then it all of those like silicone breast implants, those don't matter because it's not a heat therapy. So then you don't have to worry about that like you do with a far infrared sauna. And this is completely different from a far infrared sauna. Some people are watching this thinking, well, I've got a far infrared sauna, great, I'll use it more. And yes, you should use that more. Yes, it's amazing. But far infrared and near infrared and red are like entirely different, entirely different. Far infrared is not received by the mitochondria in the body, whereas red and near infrared are. And so epilepsy would be one. Skin conditions where you like lupus. Or something, rosacea, but the studies on lupus and rosacea show that red light therapy is extraordinary and helps those conditions. In fact, the Nobel Prize was won in 1903 for lupus vulgaris as an example for light therapies being therapeutic and helping
Wow.
to reverse those conditions. So, and then in terms of epilepsy, it was just basically a disclaimer to use with caution. But even people with epilepsy, it's having therapeutic effects. It's helping people with epilepsy. So you just keep going through the things that you would most likely score as being a problem, and they're not a problem.
So it says here, as the mitochondria slows down, so does your thyroid.
Oh yeah. Yes, I'm glad you're talking about thyroid. And tell me more.
So it says enter red light therapy, a breakthrough that uses near infrared wavelengths to stimulate thyroid tissue directly.
Yep.
So it affects the thyroid tissue directly. So just having this panel on there,
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. So it's really important to understand that everything is connected. So number one, and the reason why these studies are decent and they give us some good data, but they don't complete the cycle. And we've seen cases where people have total turnarounds, and I think of a woman named Shannon where she had a complete turnaround. She had Graves, so hyperactive thyroid, and she was able to get in front of it. So she had a thyroid and her whole body in front of one of our panels. She was practically bedridden. She was going to compete in a Boston Marathon, couldn't do that, obviously. Like, you can hardly walk. So doctors say, like, just give that dream up. And they say, look, your markers are terrible. Look at this. Like, we're really worried about you even living. And then so she gets on this. And again, this is anecdotal. And so we're going to show some clinical studies with double blinds and all that. But she, within 2.5 weeks, went and competed in the marathon because
wow.
everything had turned around, and her doctors had their jaws on the floor because they were looking at her blood work and said, we don't know how you've achieved this. And she said, look, I was in front of the red light for 2.5 weeks, just like this other woman, Elizabeth and Shannon. They're good friends, so they kind of coax each other on. Just do what Jonathan says, get in front of it, get your body in front of it, get your thyroid, just do this. And the reason why it outperforms like the study that I'm about to show you is because instead of just putting it only over the thyroid, they put it over all the organs. Let me just get the right screen on here. They put it over all the important organs, because think about how the thyroid is connected to the gut. People should know that by now. People should know that the thyroid is obviously connected to the brain and the heart. And so if you can stimulate these other organs, they'll support it. So to the effect of, you'll love this, Nino, people will have an injured ankle. They'll get in a red light bed, put their ankle outside of the bed so that it's not getting a red light, to see will my ankle get the healing it needs from the rest of my body getting it. And it absolutely works, as if the
Wow.
ankle got it. And
So
so
you don't need to put the injured area in front of it.
not necessarily, especially if you're getting the rest of the body, but ideally, it would be even greater if you had the injured area in front of it. So this is an example here where they used it. They're looking at levothyroxine, Synthroid, and how to treat these people. One group received photobiomodulation therapy along with the regular treatment, and the other group received only regular treatment. Photobiomodulation therapy involved applying light at a specific wavelength twice a week for 3 weeks. So only twice a week for 3 weeks. Now, after 3 and 6 months, the group that received photobiomodulation therapy, so they get them off it after 3 weeks. So, would you, if you were conducting this study, would you do it like this? Would you get people to be on it for the whole time?
The whole time. I mean,
And
this
then
is
even
just,
still, yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying that's just that. I mean, I can't believe the results of this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so even after this kind of, I would say, failed parameter, after 3 and 6 months, the group that received photobiomodulation therapy showed better results. They had lower levels of thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, thyroid antibodies. So these are all the negative sides, and needed less LT4. So they were producing it themselves. And the reason for the antibody levels decreasing is when you give the thyroid cells that, and specifically the mitochondria within the thyroid cells, what they need, they're producing ATP. Now with that energy production, they're detoxifying the thyroid cells, which is a very sensitive gland that is receiving a lot of the environmental toxins, and especially for women, it's targeting the thyroid. And so their thyroid can't clear these toxins out. So they're then they're increasing in these antibody levels and so forth. They also saw improvements in body measurements like body mass index. So they're losing weight, waist to hip ratio, hip to waist ratio, hip to waist circumference. And the study suggests that photobiomodulation therapy, when combined with standard treatment, may offer additional benefit for people with Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, helping improve both thyroid function and overall health. So that clinical study was amazing because all these key categories, just the weight loss and as well the fact
I
that,
felt also less inflammation in my back.
yep.
Like that's quelled a lot, man. And I'm running on the treadmill, every day. So, and I used to hit the treadmill once and then for 3 days I was hurting. So now I'm able to do it every day. Trust me when I tell you that says a lot.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean, so I'm noticing the inflammation just reduced.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. And so look, so anyone with back pain, it's just a tragedy because a lot of people are losing a lot of quality of life.
Oh,
And
dude, you lose. I lost 60% of quality of my life, man.
you've got important moments and memories, and literally people in pain, they'll be sitting there looking at their kids, but they're not looking at their kids. They're just feeling everything in their body. They're so checked out because they can't. It's just tragedy. So back to the thyroid, the results in this study showed that patients required a reduced dosage of LT4, with 47% of them needing no LT4 at all during a 9-month follow-up. So their thyroid is now producing the LT4. Uh, it, like how amazing. And so then the others, like, so the other 53%, just keep going, improve the structure of the study. Most of these studies are just putting it over the thyroid, and you'll see shorter periods of time, better results, longer lasting results. We've looked at other conditions like and then we like tinnitus, and studies have shown there that there are even some studies that show 100% resolution of tinnitus, and that they were effective for 3 months, which is amazing considering that red light is not supposed to be used only 3 months, once every 3 months. Hence the need and the importance of having them in the home.
If you use this every day, man, you're just going to see all that. You're going to benefit like just astronomically
That's the
from
way.
everything. I mean, that's the key here is have
Yeah.
this at your house. I mean, if you go to a clinic or a lot of these places that say they have the red light therapy, dude, you're paying like anywhere from like I've seen it from like $50 to $100 for a session. Like it's ridiculous for some of these places. Even El Paso here, it's like 40 something dollars, or they'll make you buy a membership and all this stuff. It's like, dude, I just rather get it and put it in my home. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's what I
A
did.
lot
And
of
thank God I did.
yeah, exactly, man. A lot of traveling and getting in line, and then there's only a matter of time until you fall off, right? Like in
Yeah, and then
terms
you're
of,
not doing it anymore. You got something like this you'd need to have in your house, just like your bed, a shower. It has to be part of your daily routine.
you got it, man. This one that I mentioned, so just looking at the clinical results, so these were from 10 randomized control trials on tinnitus. 2 single-blinded, 8 double-blinded were included. One study reported 30% and 100% resolution of tinnitus, and then one study showed the 3-month mark was when it was lasting that long, which shows that it's staying in the body. And that's what people don't realize when they get in front of it. They think that maybe it's only effective for the time that they're in front of it, but it's effective for days after. You do it for that little time. You say, okay, look, I'm going to invest 5 minutes right now, and you do that. Your body is feeling those effects for the next few days. That's what's
Wow.
amazing. Your cells keep changing as a result. They're increased in their capacity to do all the cellular functions that you take for granted, and so that's what we're seeing in those studies, which I love, and they really light me up, man.
And
Um,
people lose weight. I mean, people are losing weight. They're hiring and it hires collagen, correct? I mean, it gets rid
yeah,
of wrinkles. I mean, a lot of
yeah,
people are just they're very, surface level, right? So there's different frequencies of this machine, and you suggest use all three frequencies at once.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like, and you've got different settings on depending on what device you're using, but like, ours, for example, have 9 different wavelengths, and I'll pull those up because you want to kind of understand how those wavelengths are useful for different conditions. And some have been used for some conditions, like that the red light study that I mentioned on eye health. The specific one with that 17% improvement was based on a 3-minute exposure, but that was 670 nanometers. So you want to have a device that had that in it, and so that's what one of the sad things that a lot of people don't realize, that we showed a study as well with breast C word,
Yeah.
the big C, and that one showed a 40% reduction in the growth, and it's a PubMed study of that.
Wow, dude, that's a huge statement.
Yes, and it was in 24 hours as well. I'm going to show that study
What?
because it is a huge statement, and you shouldn't, take that for granted. It was human cells, it wasn't animal cells. It was in a petri dish, so an in vitro study. But I could show the studies that show these results
Wow,
in
don't even
large.
say that word on fluff.
Yeah, did I say
No,
I
I know
said the
you
wrong?
didn't, but okay, I
Okay,
mean,
good.
people can read it themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people can read this. So this is an in vitro anti-breast C word through LED. But notice here, and I love to like educate on this because they tested 4 different LED red light wavelengths. Notice that these studies that I keep citing are based on LEDs because here's the reason why. People think that halogen bulbs or incandescent bulbs might be better, and I wish they were. And if that's all they have access to, I don't want to see anyone in the comments saying, well, I can't afford this, because if you can't, then get a $10 chicken lamp, because you then can get red light therapy and it will work, it will be effective. But these studies I'm showing you are based on LEDs, and LEDs are outperforming. And the crazy thing about that as well is the chicken lamps will be more expensive over time. About 3 or 4 years in, you're paying more because the electricity bill is way higher. These are so energy efficient, they're hardly draining any electricity because LEDs just take none. But the reason why they're doing the studies on LEDs is because 90% of the power is going into light. Whereas with a halogen bulb or incandescent bulb, 90% of the power is going into heat. Whereas we want the light because the light is going into the mitochondria. Anyway,
Got
so
you.
back to this study. This was against non-triple negative and triple negative breast C word. And this was 24 hours post-exposure. Only LED red light with wavelength 660 nanometers possessed anti-proliferative effects against both cell lines, with a 40% reduction of cell viability. And then this word, the morphology of LED 660 irradiated cells was found flattened with enlarged cell size, typical characteristic of cell senescent. What that means is that those cells, those bad cells, were dying and senescent, which means they're going through that death state. And it was doing that specifically just with 660, whereas the other ones weren't able to do that. And so these are really amazing findings. And so, yes, do I believe that people should be using this as preventative? Like mammography is best to be replaced with thermography, because it'll detect when the C word is the size of a pinhead versus being a lump or a bump. But then thermography is still waiting for something to happen, whereas light therapy is saying, look, I've looked at the studies. If this can help turn something around, I believe that this could help potentially prevent. I'm not making a claim. I'm just saying,
Right,
think
right.
about it
You can't
logically.
make the claim. This is not, we have to make that very
Yeah,
obvious here on this channel that we
exactly.
cannot say it
No,
cures or
no, we're
does
not making
anything.
any claims. No,
Not making any
this
claims,
cures
but what have you
anything. We're
got
not
to
saying this
lose?
diagnoses anything, reverses anything. This is educational, entertainment purposes only. We're just looking at cited studies, looking at the data. It's for education, entertainment. Look at this, guys, and check it out. It's fascinating. So on the education front here, so the wavelengths, and these are all the wavelengths that are in our devices as an example. And so I'm just turning these on, and on that, I'll show this in a second how you can select them, or you could just have them all on at once, which is what you were referencing, Nino. But look, 480 is blue, and blue light has got a bad rap, and it deserves that for LEDs that are in the home, but it doesn't for like a rainbow certainly doesn't poison you because it has blue light in it. And so this is a consistent source of blue light. What it does is destroy the bad bacteria in your skin. And so there's nothing that will improve that. You're probably noticing you're not getting like zits like you were,
No,
things
my
like that.
skin feels great.
Yeah, that's skin rejuvenation and killing
Yeah,
the
my
bad
skin
bacteria.
feels really good, man.
Yeah, yeah, game
And I, and
changer.
I, I don't know if I'm imagining this, but I almost feel like I got like a slight tan. Like there's
Well,
some color to my skin that I didn't have before. It's kind of weird.
yeah, well, I think that what could be happening there is that your skin has a natural color that it's supposed to be, and you lack a lot of the things in your cells that you're needing for the body to function normally. So now when you're exposed to sunlight, it's interesting that what's the best way to repair sun damage? And the answer is red light therapy. So even what the sun will do, with I guess a toxic exposure. Maybe it's because you're eating seed oils, or because you're putting something on your skin that's also, just causing the degradation of your skin. But if you get sun damage, you can repair it with red light therapy, which is awesome. So I'm just saying, with that in point, now your exposure to sunlight, you're probably tanning more naturally because of sunlight, but your cells are getting more of what they need, as an example. So here's 590, which is again very good for skin because it's just going through the epidermis to the dermis. 630, amazing studies on this for the big C word and others for the more shallower types. 660 was the one that we just referenced, and it's getting close to the subcutaneous tissue going through the dermis. And then 670, this was the one on eye health, but again, there's thousands. It's crazy. And then 810 is getting into the near infrared. Now you can't see these wavelengths at all. So one of the cool things about our devices is that it's one of the only full spectrum devices on the market, and because it has 9 different wavelengths, what we did as well is put dual LEDs. So each LED has 2 different wavelengths coming out of it. So it's a complete even spread. So all these LEDs basically have red light and near infrared coming out of each LED instead of 1 and 1. So
it beats the chicken lamp.
Yeah, well, yeah, it does. It does, unfortunately. But yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's just the intensity, the irradiance is so much higher. So the number one thing to look for is irradiance, like how much milliwatts is delivered per centimeter squared, and this is 205 milliwatts per centimeter squared at 3 inches, which is actually higher than the Novathor and all the big $150,000 devices. I'm not kidding you. Just look at the specs on those.
That's crazy.
They're typically between 50, 100, sometimes 120, 140 if you're really lucky. But because of the LED tech in ours, we're pushing over 200. So yeah, people can even outperform when they're getting in these wellness centers. But anyway, all these 810 to 8 to 1060 are getting through the muscle to the bone to the interior tissues, which is what people like our elderly parents and for bone density, so they don't get taken out by things like that, because yes, it does get inside the bone. And so then you can see all these studies that are showing the fat burning, cellulite reduction, metabolism, certain wavelengths proven for certain conditions. So nobody wants any of these things in the future. If they have them, they don't want any of them. And so why not hit all those wavelengths and replicate what is like a full spectrum light from the sun, but then have the highest amount of irradiance in each of those proven wavelengths. And so that's what you're getting when you have LED with a concentrated amount of power in that certain wavelength. Anti-aging, acne, scars, rosacea, hair growth, who doesn't want that? Obviously in all the right areas, but your body knows it's hormone disruption that will cause, like a woman saying, well, if red light causes hair growth, I don't want to put it over my face because I'll get a beard.
Right. No, it's just
hormone disruption.
Got you.
Yeah. And so that your body knows that that's not how you were designed. You're not supposed to have that. Men, on the other hand, yeah, sure, we don't mind having a beard and having to shave, but it's thankfully it's going to all the right areas. So sun damage, wrinkles, fine lines, droopy eyelids, under eye circles, broken capillaries, pain relief, wound healing, injury healing, oral health, receding gums and all these types of things. And wouldn't
Yeah, I open my mouth under there. I feel like it's helping my teeth and my gums. I do that.
Yeah, you notice that? Are you bleeding less when you floss?
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, that's awesome. Yes. You definitely want that, because like think about all the medical bills, and this is why I'm saying like red light is the cheapest thing you'll ever do in your life, because if you can prevent different issues in all of these categories, some of these are more aesthetic. So people, but yeah, like you're going to pay for hair products, and you're going to pay for hair transplants if that's you're trying to save that, or scars, whatever it is. But then some of these as well, like they cost a lot, or you lose kidney or liver function, or then
game over.
Yeah, it's either game over or you're lining up for a transplant.
You have nothing to lose, man.
No, it's
really.
like
I mean, your health is always first. I'd rather be healthy than wealthy. Healthy is wealthy. And sorry, I mean, health always before wealth, bro.
Yeah,
and that's how I see it. So
how much would you give for one eyeball? If I said, look,
exactly,
would you sell it for 10 million? No. Even if you had nothing. The only reason why someone would do something like that is because they thought maybe their children were going to be homeless or something. But other than that, nobody would ever make a transaction like that.
No.
And so injury healing, oral health, wound healing, muscle building, mental stamina, cognitive performance, athletic performance. But these ones on tinnitus were specifically scoring at 670, 810. Arthritis, and this goes for like there's 75,000 different diagnoses. So I don't have 5 hours, otherwise I would show this. I would keep going like this for days. That's the thing. I could literally go for days if I cited every single study on every single autoimmune condition. But this gives you a key like idea. I just chose the big hitters of look,
right.
people a lot of people have arthritis, a lot of people have MS. Well, we'll get 670 and 660 on you and arthritis, but the same goes for different conditions. And the reason is because of this first one here, stem cell regeneration, mitochondria, stem cells connected. It's called the mitochondrial stem cell connection. You fuel the mitochondria in the cells, then you're fueling the stem cell production of your body. So how much does that cost? And that's,
Right.
I've spent too much money on that trying to save my parents and all that. This
Well, I
red
feel
light
you.
is Red light is better, man. Parkinson's, and yeah, sure, you can combine them. Like there was a Tel Aviv University study that showed an 80% reduction in heart muscle scarring, combining stem cell therapy with red light therapy. But here's the other way to do it. You want to watch shows like this to get all these hacks. Fast. Do a 3-day water fast and do red light because you're producing way more stem cells when you're fasting. Get on the red light in first thing in the morning before you've eaten while
That's what
your
I
body's
do. That's what I
produced so
do.
many stem cells. Yeah, there you go. Like you're
Yeah.
combining therapies now. You're stacking.
Stacking
Just
therapies. Wow.
just
Yeah,
like
I
if
just
you
needed to do that instinctively. I was like, I'm doing this while I'm fasting. I do my
uh,
cardio while I'm fasting, obviously, and then the red light while I'm fasting.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome. And yeah, so breast, C-word, liver function, hypertension, Parkinson's, fertility and sperm mobility, like this stuff is bad, man. We're looking at an epidemic of infertility. Some rates are going up to 50% now in certain countries, depending, and it's all based on soil and
Yeah, foods, all that
glyphosate.
stuff.
Yeah, it's causing this metabolic issue, and then that's in turn causing all these other issues. But the studies on light, so our children, to me, like I've got my children in front of red light. Babies, even babies, are in studies on red light therapy showing how effective it is for babies. So people need to kind of stop getting so scared, do their own research, and then go into these things. Eye health is interesting because it's both red and near infrared. So just think about the depth of penetration. So you want to hit these at different levels. So these cellular respiration cycles, or it's to do with the electron transport chain. So it's nitric oxide and cytochrome-C oxidase signaling that is so critical, but you're activating that at different points by different wavelengths. So you're activating that cellular respiration at 660. So, just that deep. And then 10-8, 810 is going, deeper again, but all are good. It's not that one that's deeper is better. And so this kind of gives you a really good kind of overview at all the different, and then 480, the reason for the better sleep can actually be to do with the blue light, which is surprising because it's regulating the circadian rhythm. But you can move the blue out if you like in the evenings, and so you've got those functionalities there. So I'll show you this on here, so you can see this here on this. And oh yeah, I mean, I'll this one here.
Wow.
Here, this one
It's
here.
actually relaxing even to look at, bro.
That's awesome. So
Oh,
here
that's a
I've got
new, is that the tiny one?
yeah, Pro 100. So we'll have, yeah, that's going to be that's on the page for everyone. But like, so it just gives more people options so that you can, and again, that sits on the desk or whatever.
Wow.
But look at the settings here, and I can now change everything. So I can go to brightness and change all the wavelengths. So I can take the blue
Wow.
out by scrolling that down. But I'm looking at one screen here. I need to look at this one. So I'm going to move that down, take this off. And here we go. So now I've just taken blue out. See how, and now blue's back in. It's hard for you guys to see that because the light is so big, it's blowing out the camera.
No,
But
I mean, but still though, man, you can see that it's working.
each wavelength is listed there, 1080, then now we're going up to 1060 here. So all these different wavelengths are there listed. The other way to do this is really cool here, Ron. Let's go to scene. Um, oh, whoops, I had that out of screen there. So look at here, I've got pets there. I've got sleep, I've got joint pain, muscle, skin, fat loss. So you can just go with customized settings, or you can do what I do often is just use everything and just take blue out in the evenings, but you've got options, which is really cool.
This is incredible stuff, folks. Hit the link below. Jonathan, thank you for joining me. This has been obviously another awesome interview podcast full of knowledge, just incredible research. I'm pleasantly pleased by this. I love this machine. I use it twice a day. I think I'm gonna go use it right now. I'm gonna go take a little nap right now. I've been busy at this one, dude. I've been at it since 4 in the morning. I do this
Okay.
thing at 4 in the morning. And this is like before I go take a nap or I go to bed or whatever, I go lay under it and I usually crash out for about 45 minutes. I'm about to do that right now. So,
That's awesome, man.
so
That's
you can tell
awesome.
I'm like fading. I'm ready to go. But folks, hit
Oh,
the link below and get started on this. You will not regret it. You will not regret it. I promise you. Thank you, Jonathan.
oh, you're welcome. No,
So
thank you,
is the
Nino.
is the this promo code is Nino
Yes,
on
absolutely. Use
this
the
one?
code
This one's
Nino.
Nino.
It'll give you 10% off. We got great discounts and things on the page. You'll see them all there and lots of gifts that we've added in. And our information has been, yeah, it is helping people beyond belief. So take advantage of those tools as well, because we have hundreds, dude, if you look on Facebook, you'll see hundreds of millions of views collectively against our videos.
Jeez.
I'm not exaggerating. I'll show you the view counts. We are so popular because our stuff is working. You read the comment section, see all the people saying, look,
Okay.
this worked. And then there's so many things that we share in our content that are free therapies that people can do from
And
home.
how's the orders coming? You guys still sending out the
Oh,
orders on? Are
yes,
you back
absolutely.
on track?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
people are getting their
All right.
orders and they're flying off the shelves, and people are getting their orders in a fairly prompt
Okay, because
manner.
I know some people are like, I haven't got my order yet, blah blah blah. But they're writing me saying we got it. They're happy with it. Everyone's using it. Jonathan,
Exactly.
thank you.
Oh, welcome. And as you sign off, remember the code Nino. And as well, for those that are on a budget, you can use the payment plan, which means that you could just span it out over 6, 12 months, 24 months, whatever you want there. And just do the calculation in your mind. This is what it costs me monthly. And then start saving money. This doesn't cost you, it saves you money if you understand it. And then you can get ahead of all these problems and turn things around, and you and your loved ones and your whole family can use it. Nothing else like any supplement bottle. It's just used by one person. Get your loved ones on this, just like Nino is with his parents, like I am with my parents and everyone I love and care about. Use this to change your life and watch what happens.
Thanks, Jonathan. God bless.
And yeah, oh, it's awesome. Cheers, man.